The New England Patriots are trading away wide receiver N'Keal Harry to the Chicago Bears in exchange for a 2024 7th-round draft pick. This trade is a W for the New England Patriots simply for the fact that we know how good they are when it comes to drafting and finding late-round gems in the latter portions of the NFL draft. So they're probably going to turn this 7th-round pick into a potential starter. For the Chicago Bears, on the other hand, this is a low-risk, high-reward move for them because you're getting somebody who was a former first-round pick coming out of Arizona State in that 2019 draft class. He was labeled to be one of the better deep threats in that draft. He was really good during his time with the Sun Devils when it came to winning 50-50 ball matchups. Really good when it came to catching back shoulder passes thrown his way. He was a monster at Arizona State. And when he got to Foxborough, his rookie season was riddled with injuries. So that held him back. And then his 2020 campaign was pretty disappointing. He was targeted 57 times, only caught 33 of those targets. He had 309 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. And then from that point, he was pretty much put in the doghouse, and he wasn't really used that much last season. And last season, there were a good amount of people who thought that he potentially could end up getting released before the season started, but the Patriots kept him around. There were also some reports floating around there that he could be released after the season, but the Patriots still kept him, so they were trying to get at least something from him, and they were able to get that. And with him going to the Chicago Bears, he goes to a situation where he does have a pretty good opportunity to get some legitimate playing time. The Chicago Bears at the moment have arguably one of the worst wide receiver rooms in all of the NFL. Outside of Darnell Mooney, they don't really have anybody on this roster who puts fear into the opposing team's secondary. You have Byron Pringle, who has spent time with the Kansas City Chiefs. Ricky Velus-Jones out of Tennessee, who I like a good amount. I think he does have a good amount of potential. But you add N'Keal Harry. And I think that N'Keal Harry could end up being a really good fit in this Chicago Bears offense because Justin Fields, I think, has potential to become one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL. And with N'Keal Harry, in New England, I kind of feel like he was a little bit underutilized in a sense. I kind of feel that he just wasn't really a great fit in New England's system. I think they needed somebody who was more polished as a route runner. N'Keal Harry really was just known for his physicality in the run game and the passing game. He wasn't really a explosive wide receiver when it came to getting off the line. He struggled to create separation. He wasn't really good getting off press. So for New England, he just wasn't really what they needed. And for the Chicago Bears, you're looking for somebody who you can at least throw the football up to and say, hey, just go get it. And I think that's N'Keal Harry. So I do think that N'Keal Harry has a legitimate chance of being able to be at least a serviceable wide receiver 2 for the Chicago Bears this season. Now, if N'Keal Harry ends up living up to, his draft status when he was drafted in the first round, 31st overall, back in 2019. I think this could be one of the better trades that we've seen over the last couple of years. That's if, and I do say if, I don't want you guys misconstruing my words in the comment section, but if he does end up popping off, he could be a really great addition to the Chicago Bears because his ceiling pretty much is Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson has a similar skill set, really good catching back shoulder passes, a really good 50-50 ball wide receiver as well. So for N'Keal Harry, I think you're going to have somebody who should be able to start week 1 for you depending on how fast he can learn the system. And with the wide receiver room not being all that great, I think he could end up emerging as a solid option for Justin Fields this year alongside of Darnell Mooney and tight end Cole Kmet. So like I said, this is a low-risk, high-reward move. You're banking on him being able to be developed by this coaching staff, being able to stay healthy, and then somewhat being serviceable this year. And I think if you can get 60 targets, maybe 70 to N'Keal Harry, I think he can give you 600 yards this year, which may not be all that impressive, but I do think that it will be when you're judging how N'Keal Harry's career has been up to this point. So let me know how you guys feel about the Chicago Bears acquiring N'Keal Harry from the New England Patriots. How do you guys think he's going to fit in the Chicago Bears offense? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Make sure that you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure that you check out the JT Sports Podcast, available on all podcasting platforms. Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts from, the JT Sports Podcast is available.